And welcome back to another information-packed episode on Ready, Set, Real Estate. I've changed up my tune a bit. I'm feeling this jazz. I've been doing daily entrepreneur classes, and so I have been feeling in this jazziness mood. So I've changed our tempo just a bit, just to keep our momentum going from our original soundtrack. Nevertheless, I've got some exciting information for you today and a special guest. And I've switched up the show where we went literally about 60 to 80 episodes straight, where I had a new guest every week. And so I've slowed that down. And now I am really taking the time because I've noticed we've got to break this stuff down for you a little bit more than what I thought. And so with that, and in light of what is happening, we're going to be discussing estate planning with my special guest, Crystal Hayes. Crystal Hayes Hill, who's an attorney, and she is serving the Long Beach and greater LA areas. So I'm really excited to have her on the show. And also because it's someone I know too. So we've been able to connect. I want to just share a little bit about her before I show her beautiful face. For those of you, make sure you say hi, say hello, drop a comment down below. Press 1, let me know you are here. Press 2, lets me know you shared it. If you're catching us on the replay, go ahead and hashtag replay. And shout out to our radio podcast listeners who are subscribed and listening to us on demand on Spotify, Google Play, Anchor, Stitcher, Breaker, Castbox. I mean, all over the world. So that's pretty awesome that through the power of technology, we are connecting in this wide world. I'm really excited about that. So Crystal Hayes Hill has been a practicing attorney for over 18 years. She has focused on estate planning and probate litigation. Those are keywords for me. I suggest you go sit in probate court. You will probably think about estate planning a little bit more differently. And she's been doing that for most of those years. She leads a quarterly class at the LA Law Library. I've heard some of you express some interest about going there. And she leads that class on probate and estates. She has also consistently given lectures on the benefits of having your trust prepared and has led trainings to educate real estate agents on the probate process. So shout out to my real estate professionals here on Ready, Set, Real Estate. It is general real estate education, and estate planning is a key thing. And we talk about that in the contract, because on the contracts, it asks you, the buyer, how are you holding title? What is your vesting? Because you're deciding when you purchase real estate, you're already making a decision about your death, whether you know it or not. I've covered that. Ms. Hill is passionate about educating her community about estate planning, and her law office is located in downtown Long Beach on Ocean Boulevard. In addition to running a law office, she also owns a company by the name of My Legal Team, Inc., which I am excited to learn more about. And My Legal Team, Inc. is a group of attorneys and paralegals dedicated to providing flat fee legal services. I like that. Flat fee legal services. We'll learn more about that. And it is in the area of probate and family law. So without further ado, I welcome my guest, Crystal Hayes Hill, to the show. Welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you, Lisa? It's good to be here.
Fantastic. It's so great to see you online.
Yeah.
Listen, I saw you. So listen, I love to give context for people when I bring people on. So you guys, Krista was doing this video on Facebook and she was doing her live stream. And so for me, it's usually difficult, Crystal, to bring people on who are not comfortable being on camera. I actually train agents on if your voice is needed, your expertise is needed. So you have two options. You do live streams or you do podcasting. You've got to be a voice. You've got to show up. And so I do a class in training on industry professionals or entrepreneurs, how to get comfortable and pick a distribution channel. And so when I saw you were comfortable on camera, I was like, yes, let's bring her on the show.
I don't know how true that is, but I'm glad I have people that are comfortable on camera.
Yeah, yeah. The good thing is, yes, we're here. So I shared your bio. I shared just, over a decade and some close approaching 2 decades as an attorney, and specifically probate and estate planning. And that is so important. And it's really important for people to understand why they should be preparing in terms of transitioning, because we know it's inevitable without being insensitive to the facts of life and the cycles of life. So share with us estate planning. And this is really meant to be informational and basic. And so we just really want to just give that information to the people. I've done my contacts, but I always just do a disclaimer like this: Lisa's not an attorney. Please seek legal counsel for that advice. And now we have counsel here.
Well, thank you. Um, yeah, estate planning. And I like to first define the term because a lot of
Yes.
times we think as individuals, perhaps with, a house and car and, a couple of other assets, we think we don't have an estate. Okay. Everyone has an estate, first of all. An estate is just simply what you own. So estate planning primarily involves having a will or trust created. Okay. And I say will or trust, we definitely want we a trust is better than a will. Okay. So estate planning involves looking at your assets. The estate planning attorney will talk to you about your goals. And when I say your goals, I mean what you would like to have happen to your assets in case you are incapacitated or when you pass
Mm,
away. Okay. And so I like what you said earlier about when you purchase a property, the title or how you hold that property really is a decision you're making about how that property is going to be distributed if something happens to you. Mhm.
yeah. So it's key that um, we are paying attention to the assets
Mhm.
and that property, because we've seen that it gets messy and sticky. So what I've seen and I've heard in experience is that people say sometimes when you're creating your own will, you can create more of a mess for your estate.
Yeah.
Let's talk to us about that.
Okay. So let's talk about, first of all, let me say
What
this.
is a will?
Yes, there's a difference between a will and a trust, and we need to understand that. Okay. A will not avoid probate. And I know people have heard that term before, and you probably don't know exactly what that means. You just know, oh, it's not a good thing for your estate to go through. A will not avoid probate, a trust will. Okay. So, what is probate? And I know I'm throwing out a lot of terms quickly, but I just want to try and give some basic information so that we can continue the conversation we're having. Um, Probate's a court supervised process, it costs money, it takes time. Okay. So if you pass away and your property is not in a trust, then your estate will have to go through probate, which costs a lot of money and can take a lot of time. So,
Right.
with that being said, what's a will and what's a trust, right? So, a will is a written document and it states what you want to happen to your property when you pass away. That's what a will is. Okay. What's the difference what's the difference? Why is a trust different? A trust it's essentially a legal contract you're making with yourself, right? That's enforceable. That says, hey, this is what I'd like to happen to my property when I pass. But here are some very specific instructions about what to do in any number of case circumstances. Okay, so it's a more detailed document. It is considered a contract you make with yourself. And that's something that the court and the law will uphold. So when I'm teaching my class, what I say is a will is simply a suggestion about what you'd like to happen to your estate after you pass. And for that reason, the court requires your estate to go through probate.
Mm. I like that you said that a will is a suggestion. For those of you who are tuning in, comment suggestion. It's a suggestion because I posed the question to our attorney here, Miss Hill, about creating more of a mess when we are writing our will. And so How do we avoid creating that mess? What would you recommend than having another set of eyes? Of course, sitting with an attorney.
So a lot of people are trying to do it themselves, and the biggest problem I see when people use some of these other instruments to create a will or a trust is it does create a bigger mess than what needs to take place. I suggest that you actually go into an estate planning attorney um, to have a trust prepared, because
Mm,
it's that, I guess the saying is, you don't know what you don't know.
yeah,
And so I have people that come in with stacks of paper and they go, "Oh, I did it myself. I just need you to review it. I'm good. Just review it. Make sure everything is there." And every choice you make when you're creating a trust online, for instance, has an effect. And if you don't know the effect, you don't know why you should or shouldn't check that box. And so oftentimes I've never seen a trust prepared online that's been brought to me that has been um, a decent document or something that's going to be able to be used upon that person's passing.
right.
So I would say if you're having a trust prepared, it's best to go to an estate planning attorney. And that doesn't mean it's going to cost a whole lot of money. Okay.
Let's save that. Let's save that. Let me stick a pin in that because I think that's one of the biggest deterrents for people is the perceived cost involved to do it,
Yes.
as opposed to without it, we're looking at 25,000 off the top for the estate sometimes, depending.
It's roughly,
Probate, right?
yes, probate is roughly 3%. Okay. So there's, Lisa, that attorney's fees are statutory, meaning the code dictates how much an attorney will get. But roughly, I would say it's roughly 3% of the value of your estate. Okay. And so
Right.
that's thousands.
3% of the value of the estate, you guys. 3% of the value of the estate. So for those of you who are upset about how much agents are making, consider when you don't properly plan and you are now trying to pass on your estate to the heirs of the estate. Uh, what we're charging in terms of our services and what we bring. Yeah, try not to, don't do anything, right? And then don't do anything, incur a nice big fat bill and strife and stress and a lot of pain,
Yeah. Three
that we see family members experience.
and three
So
is on the low end, because that's just for the normal administration of an estate. uh, uh, Extraordinary fees can really drive the cost up. And when I say that is, if your estate doesn't go through a standard probate, if there's something in your estate that causes litigation or holds things up, or if there's a sale that's needed, now your attorney bills at their hourly rate. So you've got a
mm,
statutory fee and an hourly rate that
wow.
that's going to come out of the property you're trying to pass on to your family. Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's,
Wow. It's funny because I didn't really think about that. So I have a probate and I've sat in court, and so I've been hearing, right? And the judge is pretty awesome. She mentioned to the attorneys, she said she asked them what was the estate value, and they said about 5 million. And she said that's pretty small considering that you guys need to talk. She said there won't be anything left at the end of this. And so they need to get to mediation, right? And or is it, am I using the right term, mediation and settlement?
yes, mediation. That's always, you're always instructed to mediate first. The court wants to see if you can work things out, which is great on one hand, but the mediator charges, both attorneys charge, everyone's charging an hourly rate. So if you can't decide what to do, you're looking at fees, money going out of the window, essentially.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Listen. See, I can have a field day talking about this stuff because I live it, I see it, and I'm imploring people to do something about it, you guys, because it is really a sad thing to see. And it's not that the professionals are here to gouge your money. We're not here to take away from your estate. Not at all. As Ms. Hill said, the fees are set by the court of law already.
Yes.
They're statutory fees. So it's not You're not negotiating with an attorney about probate fees. That's not going to happen.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. There's no negotiation. It's set. So the attorney's going to get what the law states that they should receive, and they're basing that on the value of the estate. Now, what happens with that, in addition to that, is the attorney is also entitled to their hourly fees if you have to sell property during that process, right?
Wow.
All the time that it takes for the attorney to look over the contracts, to talk to the agent, to go to court, you're paying on an hourly basis. And so that's very,
Mm,
yeah, yeah,
it's
that's
good
that.
to know. Good
Especially,
to know. It was really good to know for me because I've been looking at paperwork and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see the fees. I had not thought about the sale aspect and the hourly. So thank you for that. Actually, I've already learned something for myself. So feeling great about that. Let's jump into who needs estate planning, and that's what the segment is. You know, especially today in the current environment, I actually have been receiving phone calls, which is why I felt like our discussion today is that more significant, that more important. We as professionals, we have, we know, and we this is our area, so we are dealing with those clients who come to us after those needs, and someone may have died or a new marriage or going through a divorce, and they might think about those life events that will say, I should be thinking about estate planning. But here we have this pandemic that is now creating, really, now people can almost see death coming, which is really scary. So talk to in what's happening. Who needs estate planning? Who should make the phone call?
okay. Well, I know that we're in a very scary time, and I don't want to focus on that because I definitely believe there's light at the end of the tunnel. Um,
Absolutely.
Irregardless of what's going on, you need an estate plan if you have children or you own property. Okay. And I say that if you own property in California, you need an estate plan. If you have children, you need an estate plan. And the reason why I'm pointing out um, those two reasons for you to have one prepared is one, because not just to transfer property if something should happen to you upon your death, but if you have children, your estate plan can lay out who's to take care of those children if something happens to you, how they are supposed to be cared for, what is set up to allow them to continue in the lifestyle that they are used to. So, one reason is because we have property. We want to make sure that property is passed on to the next generation. Uh, we want to minimize the amount of money that's coming out of that estate before it's passed on. But the other reason is because if you have children, this is a way for you to lay out their care, right? If something's to happen to you, so that's the responsible thing to do. Um, so those are the main reasons why you need to have an estate plan if you have children or if you have property. If you have a large estate, there are other reasons as well. Um, it used to be years ago that we were really telling anyone that owned a home that there are ways to take advantage of taxes. Would have some tax benefits if you had your estate plan done. Now we have a deduction amount that's so high that a lot of people aren't having them done um, for that reason. Okay, but it's still necessary. Um,
Yeah.
I don't
Good
want
point.
to.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was going to say, I just wanted to just kind of revisit that. If you have children and you have property, more importantly, in terms of who needs estate planning. And I think one of the things too, what I appreciate about estate planning is the aspect that, and you can talk about this a little bit in terms of the living trust being that instruction and it superseding you, right? It's that entity that now has clear instructions that you can have it now and use that as a tool to make sure while you're living, you're still protecting your assets.
yeah, yeah. That's a very good point. So, and you said a term that I think we should define before we go into a living trust, right? And so, a living trust is a document that you would create, and you would appoint someone to handle your assets, right? To manage your assets while you're living. That person is you. You are considered the trustee or the settlor. And so by putting your assets in the trust, So when I say that, that means to put your assets in the name of the trust. By doing that, you're controlling those assets during your lifetime, right? But you've also set in place some specific instructions about what should happen with to that property if you're unable to manage your assets, okay? Either by way of incapacity or by death, okay? So a living trust is this contract we create. The term we use is revocable living trust. You will hear that term tossed around. A revocable living trust is something that's very common, and that will allow you to manage your assets while you're living, but have a plan in place for what's to happen to those assets upon your passing. Yeah.
I
And then
like it. I like it. So you guys learned two important things in terms of the use of a will, when, and who, and sometimes the mess we can create when we're doing it on our own, and we think, hey, we got it covered, right? So seek a professional, right? You be mindful of being self-diagnosing sometimes, right? Creates we might miss something, and then living trust or using a trust instrument, as Attorney Hill said, is the contract that is very clear. It states the who, what, where, when, and how.
mhm. Yes, it does. Yes,
There's no guessing, right? There's no guessing. And what's important is what you said, is that the court upholds it. The
exactly.
court upholds that.
That's what we want. We want the court to uphold it. We want to be able to go through this distribution or administration process without uh, court involvement. And the only way to do that is to have a valid trust created.
Got it. Got it. So I wanted to at least give people an opportunity to check you out. So website is mylegalteamla.com, which I thought is classic because I'm LA super agent. So mylegalteam.com. And you do serve the Long Beach and Los Angeles area, which is pretty in the greater LA area. And you can check out that they do offer flat fee pricing, legal consultation assessments here, and legal representation, which is important. And she's got a great page that you can check out who their team is, and which is really awesome, is that you can know and see who the people you're connecting with. You get to meet these people, which is really important. We talked about that earlier today in terms of connecting and building rapport with people and being able to access them, accessibility, especially with doing something like this as planning for your estate. And that's important. You can check out Crystal on what's your Facebook, Instagram,
At My Legal Team LA. Yep. You can check me.
LA. Great. What's the best way to reach you if people have questions? Again, this was really just informational, and I want to bring you back on it so that we can continue to have this discussion. I know tons of attorneys, and it's really just finding someone that is comfortable, that can connect, and is just really accessing or excuse me, sharing the information. I love the fact that you're an educator and you're teaching classes on this, which I think is so important, is because most people, when we don't, I love to say, when we have the information, we can make informed, intelligent decisions
Yes.
about what's the next step. So what's the best way for people to reach you, and kind of walk us through that process, like working with you and your team. What does consultation look like?
Okay. So right now, I'm offering free consultations, 15-minute consultations. Um, and you can call the office and we'll schedule a time either to do the consultation by phone or by video during this pandemic. Um, the office number is 562-444-5979. You can call the law office or you can call my legal team, right? And
Awesome.
I like for people to call them if they have a quick question because they're very knowledgeable, right? And so if you can get a quick answer, that helps you. And if you need a more detailed answer and you have more issues to discuss, then you can schedule an appointment with me. So that number is 562-479-0900.
Got it. I'll put it up here for those of you who are reading. So it's my legal team because Crystal will say, now you've overwhelmed me, and I'm giving free 15-minute consultations, so I got to make time for everybody. But she's got a team that can help what they're offering. So please call my legal team at 562-479-0900. And that's overall your office free 15-minute consultation.
Yes.
Perfect. So listen, for those of you who are saying, how do I get started? How do I get started? Don't ask Lisa. You got to ask the attorney, because I can't help you other than say, here's the number. So if you're in the greater LA area, in the Long Beach area, my legal team is available to serve you during this time, not just exclusive to what's happening now, but for all your estate planning needs. And I think it's awesome that you are offering a free consult, because I think that is a deterrent for people to just get their foot in the door when they really need the information of, how do I start? Is this appropriate for me in my situation? I think that's the key thing, right? Because we just talked about who needs it, what they should use or what they should do. And so it's important whether they're an eligible person to even move forward. Because if you don't have children, you don't have property, I mean, and your assets, I think in California, less than 100,000.
150,000. If you have assets over 150,000, your estate will have to go through probate. Lisa, if I can just interject, even
Please.
if you don't have children and you have assets over 150,000, you should have an estate plan prepared. Okay? You're not excluded from all of this, right? There are a lot of things we can do with your estate.
That was great. So listen, if you're in California, and I actually did this a couple years ago where we were talking about estate planning, and that can change from state to state. So although we are broadcasting everywhere, do know the laws of the land and check with your attorney in your area. So, but for California, if your estate is greater, as Attorney Hill is saying, greater than 150,000, you will be subject to probate. And if you're in California, that's very easy. It's very easy to be more than $150,000. So it's very easy to go over that amount. What I'm really excited about is that, guess what? They're offering something special to our listeners, our audience. And please share that with us.
So if you're watching this broadcast or listening to it, you can save 20% on your estate plan if you mention or say the code super agent.
Awesome. So just let her know. Just let her know, hey, I saw you on Super Agent, heard Super Agent, and I'm calling, and you can save 20% on your estate plan. I think that's awesome. So that's also my gift to you as well. If you're working on your estate plan or thinking about doing it, I trust that this would encourage you more, is because we're making it really easy for you to have a conversation with an attorney or a legal team that specializes in probate and estate planning. 15 minutes, and a lot can happen in 15 minutes, including changing your lives and your legacy.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right. Any last comments or remarks? I wanted to be mindful of both our times and schedule, especially with what's happening. We're definitely, I'm tightly packed in my calendar. I know you are. So I just want to say thank you for making the time. I'm excited to finally connect with you and do this online, because I feel like we can do so much more, as even including, maybe if you'd be open. I won't put you on the spot to answer now, but I will propose maybe be open about maybe doing one of your classes online, as I've been doing my online classes and training. People need this information. And so, especially we're now in this space where we got to go virtual, it'd be great to have an online class, and learn from you. So we'll talk offline about that and see how we can get that set up.
That would be good. We'll talk offline. I've already have something in place, but we can work together and figure out something. Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Awesome. Any last comments or remarks that you want to share or leave with our listening audience and our viewing audience?
I just want to say stay safe, stay positive, and use this time, if you have additional time now, to do those things that you have had on your list for a while. And I know a lot of people have had estate planning on their list for a while. So now is the time to do it. We're here to help. I love helping people. And I thank you, Lisa, for this avenue to give out this information. You're doing a great job.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you. So, again, and we want to bring you back. Listen, you guys, with that being said, have an amazing day. I mean, it's been a full schedule for me, and classes has been happening. We've been ripping and running, and I just want to make sure that, okay, cool. Classes have been happening, and I want to make sure that you are subscribed to our channels. That way you don't miss out on this information. So make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Empower someone else with this information. So again, if you just tuned in, we're already concluding. Drop replay in the comments below and let us know what you found valuable today. Just learning the difference between wills and living trusts, and also knowing that those attorney fees for probate are already set by the court of law. All right. So you're not going to be negotiating that. With that being said, love and light to you all. Have a powerful, productive day. We'll see you next week as we continue our series on Ready, Set, Real Estate. Bye.